Hey everybody, it's a Doctor here with Typical Manga Fan, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review will be dedicated to Bleach, Chapter 680, The End 2. And we're starting here with a nice little color sketch shot of Yuok, which actually is pretty cool looking.
This is actually considered a color page, which is kind of funny.
Because the only color there is brown.
And then the red eye. Oh, there's a red eye he has, I think.
He's got a Sharingan.
Oh dear, no! Kishimoto's made him get an eye fetish. Kubo, run away! So this is basically the big news about this cover page is that it's announcing basically that Bleach is coming to an end.
And just blank more chapters.
And just blank. They probably don't even know the number, honestly. They just.
I'm convinced it's a 3-digit number.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they would if it was a 3-digit, they probably wouldn't announce it just yet. So it's probably gonna be still 2-digit, and probably some people say it's probably still gonna be at the end of this year. Which is really weird because I thought there would be at least another year of Bleach, especially with the pace it's at, and there's so many loose ends. It's just like it's either one, he is not going to he's going to leave the loose ends. Either he's going to either he's not going to end this year and still have a lot more chapters left, like maybe about 40, right? Or he's going to rush through it and leave a shitload of loose ends or tie them up in a really stupid manner, because
and I think we all know what it's going to end up being.
Yeah. Well, it's just weird because I was talking about this where he had such a ridiculously slow pace, as if he was trying to milk the series, and suddenly he's rushing it. It's just it feels like a kid who has an essay to do. The essay takes about maybe a month to do. The guy, the kid does a little bit of the work but procrastinates most of the time until like the last 3 days, and then he rushes it at the end of the month. And at the end of the day, he gets a piece of shit work. A lot of people think it's gonna be at 700. Kishimoto did with Naruto, and it's a very even number, and so I think it's 20 chapters left. I don't think 20 chapters is enough. It's just too much.
I've seen a few people say 715 because of Ichigo.
That's possibly, and I'm sure if Kubo's doing a dick measuring contest, he'd be like, hey, I have more chapters than you, than Kishimoto. But
right, 15 whole chapters worth.
Yeah, I was thinking. I actually thought maybe 15 more chapters, but I was like, no, probably 715. 15 is even worse than 20, so I wouldn't think that. And so I like how he says after over 10 years of being an overwhelmingly popular series. Yeah, overwhelmingly, man. Even Tekken 101 pointed out, saying, no, that's not true.
It's had its time, but it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the chapter proper here.
So yeah, we have let's do some fan art.
Yeah,
so we have.
Yuok's got Ichigo by the face, and he's draining away the Quincy power and the Hollow power. No mention the Shikinkami power one way or the other, though.
Okay, this is weird. He's saying that the Hollow power was mixed along with the Quincy power. That's not how it worked.
I remember Tekken brought this up,
too. The Hollow was mixed.
Until I see otherwise, I'm willing to judge this might be a mistranslation or a misunderstanding.
I'm thinking that, but I have another question. Is that isn't Hollow powers bad for Quincy's? Why is he sucking in the Hollow powers too?
Well, maybe Ichigo is a unique case given all the other things he's mixed with.
I mean, that's why. I think that's supposedly why no one can steal his Bankai, right? So, is Yuobach just be like, I'm the exception because I'm Quincy God,
There, probably. At the very least, he's all ha 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 ha.
It's just weird because it makes complete sense to take the Quincy. It's just kind of weird to take the Hollow too. I don't know, whatever. So basically, Ichigo loses his his image of his mom, and just goes to pure white. So basically, he becomes catatonic. He doesn't. He's not. I don't think he's dead. His eyes are still open. Well, I mean, you can still die with your eyes open, but I don't think he's dead.
He just loses consciousness.
I don't even know he loses consciousness. It's just like I think he's just the best term is catatonic. Not responsive to anything. And then Yuobach does this really huge laugh.
Yep.
I actually want to see what that's like animated. Yeah, and then the shadow of darkness gets even better. Like envelops the entire Valorvelt. Yuobach's obviously become more powerful, and I like something more now is like, what's the point of getting Ichigo's powers? I'm assuming it's because Yuobach just feels like, oh, it's mine. It's mine by rights. So I will take it back. He doesn't actually need it. He just wants it.
That's kind of any person I got there myself. Like
yeah.
So Lord giveth, so Lord taketh away.
Yeah. There's a lot of religious stuff going on with this manga, and especially with Yua Box. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's literally what it's referring to. But we go back to Hashwald and Uryu, and Uryu is not looking too good.
Nope.
So basically they do this spiel about who Uryu is like, about his friends, all that stuff. Honestly, it's kind of boring.
But Oswald tried to judge his actions based on balance and scales. But Ichigo's Kaipu just rushes in, no questions asked. So is Orihime and Chad and Rukia and Renji. And
I'm surprised he remembered all those people.
And he's thinking to himself that he actually would be glad if he actually started to resemble them.
And then he's like, you know what? He's like, you talk about your scales and shit and all that blah blah blah. But this is my decision, It's not right, it's not wrong. I did it because they're my friends. Because friendship is magic.
Yep. Oswald seems to disagree.
And maybe I'm thinking that I think in his head he's thinking about his quote unquote friendship with Basby and possibly his relationship with Yua Bak. Maybe he's been jealous of Uryu the entire time. So maybe in some way he's also jealous of this friends thing too. He's putting up a front saying, oh, it's meaningless. But who knows? Maybe Hassell's actually like, I wanted this. Kind of like how Envy was in Fullmetal Alchemist. He acted like he was better than anyone else. In reality, he wanted to be human.
Yep. And then just as that pretty much sets him off, he starts onto an angry rant, lifts his sword to strike down Uryu, then light strikes.
And it strikes him. It does strike him too, right? Yeah, it does strike him. And then we see Gerard.
Yep.
Good
old Gigantor.
Yeah, fighting against. He's just standing there, but I'm assuming he was fighting against Byakuya and Hitsugaya. And then suddenly he starts to basically disintegrate until you see nothing left but his bones.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's dead.
Yep, he's done.
Yep, that's it.
Yep.
Nope, that's not. We're not getting punked. This is not a. This is.
And with one page and with 2 pages, several chapters have been rendered utterly meaningless.
Yeah, we'll get into that at the end of the chapter. But so we see all this energy basically going back into the shroud of darkness. I'm assuming that's basically going back into Yua Bak. And then Yua Bak has opened a portal, and he's like, farewell. I don't need you or my children, the Sunriders. You never needed them. At what point did you ever need the Sunriders? You can just walk around and kill everyone. At this point, you just what is the point of? What was the point of them? To conserve your energy. Honestly, I think everyone was so beneath you that you wouldn't even have to waste that much energy to kill everyone.
Yep.
The guy killed Captain Commander Yamamoto in one strike.
Yep.
So anyway, he's like,
he needed the Sternritter about as much as Aizen needed the Espada. When you get right down to it, he lined them up just to let them get killed.
I think Aizen thought that the Espada were better than they actually were, and that's why he killed Harry. But he's like, it's my mistake. I thought you guys were actually stronger. You're not. With Yua Bak, it's like he actually knew exactly how strong his Sternritters were. So I guess he's just that lazy. I mean, that's literally all I can think of. He's just that lazy. Or maybe he was using them to kind of extend, because remember he had a time limit, right, for how long he can move and before being immobile again. So I'm assuming that before he got the powers of the Soul King, he needed them around to basically kill and be killed to give him his powers. To make sure that he can move around, as he got back their powers. So anyway, he's like, sit there and watch as I bring ruin to all society in the real world.
And then Renji and Rukia show up just in time to do absolutely nothing.
You know what pissed me off was that when I saw that foot, I thought it was Ishin. But it wasn't. It was these two. And that made me upset. You know why? It wasn't because Ishin was there. It was because this is what the manga has done to me. It made me disappointed in seeing Renji and Rukia. How can that be? They were the main characters at one point. They were actually big to the plot in one point. Crucial. Yeah, and now when I see them, I think I'm disappointed.
Koiko Mundo gave them equal billing with Ichigo and Orihime and Chad. Well, okay,
supposedly,
maybe more accurate to say that Chad, Orihime, and Renji got equal billing to Ichigo and Rukia.
Well, I mean, with the Koiko Mundo thing though, they all started off pretty strong, and then really quickly it just went all the way to only Ichigo.
Well, that was mostly the thing in terms of focus. But
yeah. Because then eventually Rukia was out for a long time. Renji was basically being screwed over with Uryu by Aporo, Sayo, whatever his name was.
Sayo, something like that.
Sayo, yeah. So it's just like, yeah. But they have their Bankais, and now it's probably going to be... and Yubok says himself, they're basically insignificant. It's true, though. Like, what is the point of them being here?
And he basically says, you know what? I'm not going to deal with you right now, but if you want to come after me, fine. I'll leave this gate open for you. You can have your fun. But if you do, just be aware I'm going to give you the best death I can. I'm going to find a future, that one moment in time where you feel the greatest amount of joy and happiness, and I'll slaughter you there. So every time you indulge in your happiness, think of my words. In that moment when you do, you'll remember I'm looming right over you now.
For all eternity.
The terror of death. Not that one. I'm talking about myself.
Oh, okay.
Not Skates.
Right. So, but yeah, he is he talking? Is he saying that this is going to happen to him if they go after him, or if they don't go after him?
I think he's saying that that's what he'll do if they do go after him.
That doesn't actually make much sense. If they go after him, then then when he goes to the future, then what will they be doing during the time? Like, I don't understand. Like,
well, he could maybe find out like the future where they win and do it there. It's like,
well, they won't win though. I mean, that's the thing. Wait. If they win, then that means Gearbox dead. So what's the point? If they don't win, then there's no reason for them to go back to the normal life where he's saying that he's going to slaughter them. Because that's what he said. When you feel the greatest amount of joy and happiness, if they're gonna go after you, they're not gonna go back. They're not gonna have any moments of joy or happiness until they beat you or until they die themselves. So it makes really no sense unless he's saying that this is going to happen even if they don't go after him. Because that's terrifying. Because if he says like, look, you can go after me and I'll kill you right then, or you don't want to go after me, in which case you can go back to your normal lives and then basically force yourself to not be happy because the moment because I will kill you, but only when you feel the most amount of happiness. And then that's when you feel like despair, because that's actually cruel, because what it does is it makes them
taints every happy moment.
Yeah, it taints every happy moment because they realize that if they get happy enough, too happy, that's when they'll get killed.
They basically got an angel curse going.
That's terrifying. That's because then you basically making, so at that point you're just basically torturing yourself until ultimately you do die. The best case scenario is basically to die at that moment, essentially. But that's if they go back to their normal lives and do stuff, do whatever they, do. If they're following you a buck, then there's no reason for them to go through all that. Like it, and if he goes to the future, what the hell would Rukia and Renji be doing in the present? Like it just.
It's gonna be probably irrelevant at some point anyway. So I wouldn't sweat too much about it.
It's just, and who knows? Maybe is it phrasing?
Could be. Maybe the Viz version will clear things up a bit. I'll take a note of that.
Yeah, because that's really confusing if you think about what he's trying to say here. He's like, okay, yeah, what he's saying is terrifying, but is he saying that if you pass the gate, or if you don't pass the gate?
I don't know. Anyway.
So yeah, it goes there in the ground, not being catatonic, and Orihime is also nowhere in sight too. So there we go.
Nope, nowhere to be seen. And now and that's the end of the chapter pretty much. And you know what? I'm going to say it straight up. This chapter pissed me off with the whole Gerard thing.
Yeah, I can see that. It pissed off not just you, actually. So there's for everyone who doesn't know, I'm sure you do know if you know anything about Bleach reviews, is that Tekken 101, who is a popular Bleach reviewer, was also pissed off about the ending of Gerard, and he has made a contest for it, basically calling for everyone to do a fanfic on how to finish the actual fight.
And which the two of us are actually going to be taking part in.
Yeah, I'm actually already done with it, so I have a fanfic. Too.
Yep.
And I don't even write fanfic. This is my only one.
Yeah, but I've never done Bleach before.
yeah. Although to other people, actually, I did do one. I did technically a fanfic one time for English class. They forced me to write an alternate ending to a book. I don't know if I should count that.
It's a school assignment, not for fun, so probably not. But still, like I said, we both have it on. We're both going to be taking part in it at some point, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Like I said, one of the things that bugs me is just like he just gets Deus Ex Machina out of the way the moment he's inconvenient. It renders the entire fight, I was gonna say pointless, but then I kind of discussed this on a couple other boards, and it's like there is a purpose to him, and he's basically just like a big old distraction for everybody else.
Yeah.
But there's no meaning to it.
Yeah, but this was mentioned in Tekken's review too. It's a stall tactic.
That was my exact phrase actually. It's like let's see, where was this here? Because I've got it in front of me here. Like, yeah, it's unsatisfying and good as my own words on here on TV Tropes forums. It's as good as it admits that Gigantor was never more than a blatant stall tactic. I mean, seriously, would it have been that hard to say? Like I said, my very first thought on this was have him beat, but still alive, and then Oswald and him. At least that way the good guys can have like a win and not can add a notch to the win column.
Even before that, just in terms of the creativity in the manga, and also like because we spent like what weeks theorizing on how to beat Gerard, and we're not even given that answer. Like what I did in one of my my fanfic was basically had them beat him, and he was going to die. But before the kill happened, that's when the Oswald, whatever it's called, happens. So it goes back to the original canon, but you can at least say that's how you beat him, because it's true. Think about it. If this is a guy who kept getting stronger even after all that, why bother? Why kill him? Like U-Box says, oh, I don't. No, they're no meaning to me. I don't know. This guy seems pretty handy. And also, the Soul King.
What's the deal with
that? Is that not important? Yeah, what is that not going anywhere?
I don't know. Like...
And also, and if you think about it, the other hands have not going anywhere too. Like the right hand delayed the destruction of the Soul King by about 20 seconds before your box like I'm gonna eat you anyway. The left hand was defeated just like any other Quincy. I don't know if he's dead or not. I assumed he didn't die because I thought there was gonna be more. But but now that I think about now that what happened to Jera, I think he might actually be dead.
Yeah.
But anyway. So the left hand's got like they're just being beaten like normal Quincy's. So what is the entire point of the subplot about for them being the hand and the limbs of the Soul King? Like what is that? What is the entire point of that?
I mean, there seems to be nothing so far. At least nothing that seems to be going to be payoff in whatever length of time we've got going here with the remainder of the series.
Yeah, I mean, like it all depends on how many chapters we have left, and even if we do have chapters left, is Kubo even going in that direction? Is he even like is he even putting the lot of content per chapter, or is he gonna still go at this pace? In which case, 40 chapters isn't enough to do anything. It really isn't. Like you might. So I was annoyed at the Jera fight too. Not as annoyed as you were because at that point I was just kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
I was actually more annoyed at the possibility of there being a time skip because he mentioned that whole thing about them going back into their normal. I'm like wait, are you saying that like we're gonna have like because Ichigo's catatonic, right? Are you saying that we're gonna have like a sorry?
That could last a few days.
Yeah, I was like, they're gonna have like a month time skip because I'm gonna hate that. What havoc is he gonna wreak during that 1 month that no one can do anything about it?
Well, I don't think it's gonna be like 1 month. It's probably just gonna be a few days because you have the whole 9 days thing going.
Yeah, but also to be true. But to be fair, that long is still he can do a lot in 3 days or 2 days.
No question.
But even so, I'm like, what? And then I'm like, well, we have Ishin and Riken just arriving there, so congratulations, you now know what it's like to be Ichigo. You came in just when Yubak leaves.
At least, well, no, not quite, because at least they're coming here didn't facilitate Yuwak's leaving.
Yeah, or maybe it did. Who knows? And then don't forget that there's still Kiriko, Ginjo, and Tsukishima, who were supposedly being hyped up. When we showed their backsides with Ganju. Is that going anywhere? There's too much left for just one simple fight. I was saying like maybe this is like the Aizen thing where Aizen left after like basically destroying everyone, and then also going to Karakura Town. Is Yubak gonna go to Karakura Town? Because I swear to God, I mean like. I know that the original reason there was because of the whole like soul concentration thing, but Yubak probably doesn't care about that. So he's already at the Soul Palace. So I'm just thinking to myself like, I wonder if he's just gonna go to Karakura Town just because he's a troll and he wants to screw with Ichigo.
I can see that.
And
he
Kubo
definitely seems to enjoy screwing with Ichigo more than anybody.
And Kubo probably doesn't want to draw another city.
He hasn't drawn before, yeah.
And then make up new characters or new side character or new like background characters or extras.
He barely remembers the ones he has.
Yeah, pretty much.
Where is Khan, by the way?
Khan?
Yeah.
Where's
he been?
I don't know.
He was just there to provide a cushion, and then he left.
His purpose in the manga is literally just to basically cover any plot holes about Ichigo basically not being there for like long periods at a time, in the real world. But
actually, if I can go back a little bit here, just like little side topic here. You're talking about earlier about how the what was the point of even having the Stern Ritter in the first place? Yeah. It's like one person on this board like actually posted like, considering his ability to see the future, isn't it possible he kept him around because he saw that if anyone else was there to help Ichigo, he might not have been able to take his power? Like, and it's compared like in the same way like how he struck down Ichigo's Bankai right away. Like, so it's just more pre-planning on there. Like, and I'll be honest here, my own response on this is that I would love for that to be true, and it makes for a good headcanon, but I have zero faith that it was actually the intention.
True.
I got called cynical for that.
Well, and but that's the thing though. Like that, it's not. We're not cynical because we're cynical people. We're cynical because we read 600 and we have watched or read 680 chapters worth of Bleach, and
I mean,
a lot of it was good. I mean, well, some of it was good, and like specifically the first part. Yeah. But like, since this arc began, we've been getting this type of thing that often, so far we get a lot of stuff that doesn't go anywhere. Like Shuei's Bankai is still not. Yeah. It was hyped up for some time, and then he got like beat twice, I think. Yeah.
He didn't even show it off.
He never showed it off, So.
And my own reply to being called cynical is like, my statement on his intentions may be cynical, but given stuff like this week, which I see as I do genuinely see as shoddy storytelling. It is to my mind. But given that, Yoruichi the Thundercat, and then now the perfect counter we never heard about, I don't feel unjustified.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen so much stuff that makes us cynical, Mm-hmm. Like and I said before, like just a few chapters ago, I was so freaking happy to see Ichigo finally do a freaking Zero. And I said I wanted to like it, but if I keep getting stuff like Gerard being taken out in 2 seconds, just like that, because the boss is like, I don't need you anymore.
No effort from the good guys at all involved.
Yeah,
because had the do aspect come from like Ishin or Ryukin, something like that, or even from like some combination thing like you were doing with your story, I would be fine with that. I would still call it an assful, but I would not mind.
Yeah,
it's the fact that the end of that fight had nothing to do with the people who are participating in it.
Yeah, it was just Gerard could have literally done nothing. The whole fight could have never happened, and he would still have the same fate. Yubak would still say, I don't need you anymore, and I'll kill you. That's it. Like, the entire fight was just to make sure that no one other than Ichigo fought against Yubak. That's it. That's the entire point. And that's actually why I think Gerard resurrected again after even though the guy's like, I froze your ability, so you can't use the miracle. Which, by the way, is there any explanation for why that didn't work? Like, Kizuka was pretty confident about it, and it didn't work. So why is that? Is it because Gerard did he underestimate Gerard? Is that just that it? I feel like we're too deep into the manga, and all these characters have been developed too far to have such a big thing happen because somebody just happened to underestimate the guy just by, especially if it's a good guy underestimating. It's just, I feel like you should learn from that. Especially after all this shit, because he's been to 2 fights already. So yeah, we're pissed.
This is not a good chapter.
I mean, I'm actually more pissed talking about it now than I was reading. And when I read it, I'm like, okay, whatever. I was actually, I was just worried about the time skip because I said I don't want a freaking time skip. We had one inside Mari. I didn't like it very much, and
mostly because it was literally 1 panel's worth of time skip.
It was like nothing, and so I'm just like, I don't want another time skip. And then, although technically Bleach did a 1 month kind of time skip in Ichigo's head. Oh, Ichigo's with Ichigo, because they had that. Fine, if you're gonna do that, I mean, you're basically reusing the same thing you did for the fake Karakutan arc, which is big criticism of Kubo that he reuses a lot of shit. But I'd be okay with that, as long as you don't do an actual time skip where Yubak does shit to everything and Ichigo's not doing anything. Although you did point out that there is the 9-day thing. So obviously, a month is too much, might be. So yeah, thank you for telling me that.
And at the very least, we'll probably be able to skip most of those days, just for the simple fact that Ichigo's probably going to be in concert for a good batch of them.
I don't know. Maybe they might do another. Like I said, So right now the chapter's the end too. There are people thinking that they're basically going to be the end until basically the end. They're going to be like 30, the 40 the ends probably, or 20 the ends, depending on how many chapters are left. All the rest of the chapters left are going to be the ends. I'm thinking that maybe somewhere in the next few chapters, Ichigo's gonna get his powers back. Because wow, him losing his powers, when does that happen? Oh, Byakuya, he lost his powers. Yep. Let's see what else.
I don't remember. Was it you or someone else who mentioned that there's like the 2nd or 3rd time Ichigo's lost his powers, or third or 4th time rather?
So I didn't count it, but I didn't mention that he's done it before. Yeah. He's had it happen. So he lost his powers because well, technically Rukia's powers against Byakuya. Mm-hmm. But it was essentially his at that point. He lost it again in the final Getsuga 10 show, and then he lost his Fullbringer powers against Ginjo. And that's also when he also went through that whole despair shit. So this is the 4th time.
Okay. Does breaking his Bankai count as any way towards that?
No. I wouldn't count that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. But yeah, that's. We were not pleased with this chapter, I think it's safe to say.
not many people. Well, not people I've checked. I mean, I don't read the comments anymore because I swear to God, I bet you people will say this is the greatest chapter in the comment section. Well, some of them. I know some people will still hate it. Will hate it too.
Because most people have standards.
I mean, I plug Tekken a lot, but I think Tekken is not only he's a good reviewer, but he's also has a following where people actually listen to him. So
and I only just started watching his reviews like this week. Was like I really like the way he does it too.
He's funny, but another thing I like about him is that he's not. I mean, he is a Bleach fan, but he's not afraid to call out something that he thinks is not good writing.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's literally asked people to write a new ending for the story.
Yeah, he had a contest to write a new ending for the Gerard fight. Which, by the way, if you win, you get $40 in an Amazon gift card.
Yeah. We're aiming for that. $40. Our standards are low.
Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, at this point, the thing is that we had so many ideas going into with how to beat Gerard that the fact that this is how it happened was kind of like the reason why I said, whether there's a gift card or not, I'm doing this because I want people to know that I had a better idea than what Kubo did. I'm not trying to stroke my ego or anything. In fact, I'll say this right now. I think any fanfic submission that is part of this contest, every single one of them is better than what Kubo just did. Because at least they will do something more with Gerard.
Because at least there'll be effort.
Kubo just ended it. He just ended Gerard. This is not me saying I'm better at writing than Kubo. This is not me saying that you're better than Kubo. This is me saying that anyone who actually will try will be better. And this is you, anyone who's listening. This is what anyone who is part of the contest, even taking it himself. This is not a high standard to surpass. You don't have to be that good of a writer to make a better ending than the piece of shit that we got with the Gerard losing the way he just
because that was quite simply crap storytelling.
Yeah,
that's
well, I mean, he was a star tactic. I mean, he was a plot trope. He was a trope.
Yeah, he served no purpose other than, I don't know, the closest one I can think of is a beefgate, but that's more of a video game thing. Basically, when there's an enemy so powerful you can't pass him until you're strong enough.
And look, I know the whole bad guys don't always lose. I'm like, well, I feel like with the Gerard's situation and the fact that he, well, by the way, wasn't even number one, the strongest member of the Wanderai, that being Yuabok. I feel like there should have been with Kenpachi doing the Bankai, with Hitsugai having his new Bankai, and Byakuya having also his new Bankai. You think they would do a little damage to him rather than actually just make him stronger?
Nope.
And also Kenpachi's Bankai. I'm assuming that we're getting a little more of that because his bones kind of got ripped from that. He's supposed to be one of the 5 powers, and this whole thing about him. We gave up Unohana for this guy. Come on,
give us something.
I like Unohana. I like the story behind her. I like the twist. I like everything. And they killed her off after all the hype because she's supposed to be one of the most powerful captains in the Gote 13, part of the original. And they just killed her off because they wanted to use her as a stepping stone. Who, by the way, has won one fight since that training. By the way, one fight. What again? Against Imagination Dude, who wasn't even one of the elite guard or the Shustaffel. What do they call it? Whatever they call themselves. So there.
Yeah, and he still nearly took Kenpachi out. But still, this was. I mean, was there anything specific you wanted to get mentioned further on this, or?
Let's see. We talked about the ending. So it seems things are supposedly wrapping up. I don't really know what that means because when Kubo's said this was the last arc, anyone who didn't know better were like, oh, it will end in 2 years. He said that 2010, 2009, something around that time. So when he says this is ending, I'm still skeptical. But especially with the way Kubo's pace has been going at.
Like I said, there's a reason I thought it might be a 3-digit number.
I think 3 digits is still a little too extreme. Maybe I said 40 chapters, maybe a little more.
Yeah, it's not completely serious, but it's still not out of the question.
Well, the thing, and if we're wrong, and it ends up being just 20 or whatever, how many times to get to 715? What is that, 35? 35.
Something like that.
35 chapters. I don't know. There's still a lot of things you kind of either have to rush in or just completely ignore. That's what happens when you spend so much, when you drag out a series and then for some reason decide it's too rushed because your editor tells you I think that's enough or whatever, or maybe you think it's enough for some reason. I don't know. There's a lot of mixed feelings going into this. It's because we talked about how we did want Bleach to kind of end on a high note,
and that's just becoming less and less likely.
And I know Bleach fans think that this is the best thing yet. I'm sure they do. I'm sure there are people out there who thought that the way Gerard died was the greatest thing that happened, because that's how fans sometimes think.
Yep.
They'll buy anything that Kubo gives them, because God forbids, that they don't like something from Bleach, or they hear about someone who doesn't like something from Bleach. It's just,
they don't like what I like. Those bastards.
Sounds like politics, really.
I was making that exact thought in my head, because my usual view of politics is, I'm right, and if you disagree, you are not only wrong, you are an enemy of the state.
Yeah. Is there anything else about Bleach? Well, if you guys want to join the contest, it'll be, I don't know. Well, by the time this will be out, it'll be on Tuesday, so you basically have 2 days left. So I don't think there's any. At that point, if you're listening to this, you probably know about the contest anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and if not, just look up we need a miracle teching 101, and you'll find a video, no problem.
Yeah.
That explains the details. Like mostly just a clip from the review itself.
And we do need a miracle indeed.
Oh yes. But in the meantime, we'll just have to settle for finishing this review, which is a miracle unto itself. That'll be our review of Bleach, chapter 680, The End 2. Take us away.
Bye.